Welcome to Confident Connections, the podcast that helps you show up with confidence and connect with people on a deeper level. I'm Lisa Liu, and here we break down the small signals that create big impact. Body language, presence, and the simple habits that help you communicate with ease, increase your influence, and magnify your impact. You'll learn how to make strong first impressions, build trust faster, and feel more confident in any conversation or setting. If you're ready to improve your communication skills and create connections that move your life and your leadership forward, you are in the right place. I've got a fantastic resource for you that is completely free and is really going to help you, especially if you've ever felt awkward with meeting someone new, or maybe you just want to know how to make the person across from you feel seen, valued, and understood, especially if you've never met them before. Or maybe you just want to get out of the people pile. You want to be memorable instead of just saying, hey, what do you do for a living? Which is what everybody says, totally forgettable. Maybe you want some new ways to engage. This is my How Not to Be Awkward conversation starters, and it is going to span professional and networking events that you may go to, connecting with empathy, and even transitioning into deeper talk. There's also a great little pocket connection card that you can just snapshot to keep on your phone and use right before you head in to a situation where you just want to have some great conversation starters literally in the palm of your hand and in your pocket. If this sounds interesting to you, I want you to go to lisaluimpact.com/connection. You'll also find this down below in the show notes, completely free to you, lisaluimpact.com/connection. Welcome to the Confident Connections podcast. Thrilled that you're here with me today. I am about to launch right here with you a mini series on understanding your own communication style and that of those around you, those you work with, those you live with. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and over the next few weeks, we're going to cover this topic. So let me just introduce you to what it is, the kind of the framework that I'm using here. If you've ever heard of the DISC personality and behavioral assessment, that is something that I've been certified to do, and that's something that I walk into companies and do with teams all the time. It's one of my favorite workshops to put on because it's so rich. The ahas that people get because they finally understand how they're wired. They begin to understand, oh, that's why I think like that. That's why I say things like that. That's why I respond at that pace. That's why when somebody's always rushing me, I feel, pressure. Or when somebody's not moving fast enough, I feel irritated. We just begin to understand how we have been created. It also helps us understand others and have more appreciation for them. So we're going to get into some of this here in a moment. So the DISC, D-I-S-C, assessment is something that I've done for many individuals, but that typically I will do with teams. So why is it important to understand yourself? Why is it important? I think this assessment is amazing. There's so many assessments out there. But this one's near and dear to my heart because I just know how my eyes opened and I began to understand myself so much better when I took this assessment. So why is it important to understand yourself more? Well, number one, you get to discover your communication style, improve how you communicate, and strengthen the relationships around you. And so if you are, if you're a teammate, if you work, it's going to strengthen your work on the team. You're also going to uncover some strengths and some growth opportunities because every single one of our styles has room to grow, of course, right? We'll never arrive. So there's always room to grow, but that can be very specific to your style. This also gives you a common language. So this is why I love doing this for teams so much. It gives them a common language so that they can improve their relationships at work and reduce conflict. It's huge having this common language, and it's very simple. It's 4 letters, right? So it's simple. It's not like you have to remember 20 or 30 things. And so overall, it will help improve collaboration and productivity. So what this does is it helps you understand others also. So understanding yourself, but also understanding others, how they communicate, how they think, how they tick, how they work. It explains why you may see somebody as lazy, but guess what? They're just processors. They just need time to gather all the facts. But if you're a fast mover, boy, that can make you nuts, right? Or why someone seems really bossy and direct and maybe even sometimes rude, but they're actually wired to communicate in a way that's really just kind of in bullet point format, because that helps moves the ball forward. So they have got a real strength as well. But there can also be drawbacks with that personality style, as there are with all of them. So basically, it helps us to create understanding. It helps us to replace judgment with curiosity. It helps us to appreciate the strengths of our team members. It helps us to feel understood, and it helps others to feel understood when we begin to use this common language. So what I want to spend the rest of our time on today over just the next few minutes is just to give you an overview, just a very high level overview of all 4 of these styles, because as I describe them a little bit, and I'm going very shallow this week because we're going to start going into these next week, but I want you to start trying to identify, I wonder which one of those I am. Now, I'm not giving you many identifiers yet, so the coming weeks is really going to help you understand a little bit better. But here's what I want to say just real quick. Look, I travel. If you are on a team and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my company could really use this, reach out to me, because I would love to come and help and put on a workshop for you, because I'm telling you, these workshops are so powerful. They open eyes and they help to bond teams, because again, judgment gets replaced with curiosity and understanding. Okay, so let's go into our overview. So remember, I said there are 4 specific styles, D, I, S, and C. What I want to say before I give you just a few little identifiers about these styles is that DISC is a language, not a label. So although I will tell you I'm an I, I'm not only an I. We actually have every single one of these personality traits in every one of us. It's just the degree or the level that we have them that we tend to identify with that letter or letters. We all have more than one letter that is what we call above the line, meaning we're just stronger in, we're more dominant in one or 2 or even 3 of those. But we are all multifaceted human beings. So as we go through this over the next few weeks, what I don't want you to do is stick a letter on your head or anybody else's head and only see them as that. Because in different situations, we show up differently. We call it putting on our behavioral hats. You may be someone who is very steady, very laid back, very maybe even introverted, but in the right situations, you can be more direct. Because you know what, I'm a boss over here. I have to be a leader. I have to put on that behavioral hat that's a little different than my typical personality. That makes us very healthy when we can flow in and out depending on the situation. So I want you to understand it's a language, not a label. The other thing I want you to understand is this is not about changing who you are. There's no letter that's bad. There's no letter that's good. They're all equal. They all just are. They are who we are. So this isn't about find out who you are and change to another one because it's better. There's no such thing. God uniquely created us with certain strengths. And so those strengths are going to come out in our communication. It's going to come out in how we work with other people. It's going to come out in our parenting and our marriage relationships and our friendships and all of the things. Okay. So I want you to understand this is not about taking who you are and shifting who you are, but it is about growing more because you understand yourself more, both your strengths and those areas that need to be worked on. Okay, so let's get to our high-level overview. And again, so next week we will start one letter a week for the next 4 weeks and go into them more in depth. But I want to tease it out so that you get excited to really dive in and begin to understand yourself and others better. So our very first one, D, I, S, and C, we're going to start with D. So D, when you think of D, these are all going to start with the letter D, but think of direct, decisive, and driver, okay? D's are very confident. They do seem to like control. They dislike routine. They like to challenge the status quo, and they can be seen as assertive or aggressive. So if any of these sound like, that could be me, have you ever been told you're bossy? Have you ever been told, wow, you really know how to run the show here, right? Not bad, but just because D's tend to be assertive, tend to be more direct, seem to be drivers, okay, then they could come across as being a little bossy sometimes. Sometimes they are, and sometimes that's why they get things done. Like D's are a big strength on a team, and when a D is missing, there's a big piece of the puzzle missing, as with any of these. So as I'm going through these, just think to yourself, which one sounds more like me? Which one feels like more like me? And if you're like, wow, I'm a combination of several, no, there's nothing wrong with you. Welcome to the club. We're all a combination of all of them. But which one or two do you feel the most drawn towards? Do you feel the most may be where you hang out the majority of the time in how you communicate, okay? So that's D, okay? Next is I. I stands for influential. So your I's are social, they're talkative, they encourage others, they're fun to be around, very social and optimistic. Does that sound like you? Okay. So here's what I want you to keep in mind about both the D and the I. D's and I's move fast. They like to make decisions fast. They like to move fast. I want you to keep that in mind as we go over the S and the C. All right. So that was your I. Let's talk about S's. S stands for steady. S's are reliable, they're team players, they're loyal, they're good listeners, they're mediators. They also avoid confrontation. So with your S's, did you hear how I even slowed down my pace? S's tend to be a bit more introverted, as do C's. We'll get there in a moment. And so S's may take a little bit more time to make decisions. So if an S is married to an I or a D, can you already see where there's a little bit of friction there? Honey, why aren't you making decisions faster? I need to know this by tomorrow. I told you I would think about it. Give me some time. Have you ever had that conversation? I 100% have. I'm an I. My husband is a CS. So we definitely miss each other there. Okay. So S's, they move a little bit slower in their decision making. Okay, but they're very steady, team players, loyal. All right. Then we have our C's. C stands for conscientious. They are analytical. They prefer to work alone. They work well with a schedule. They're organized and structured, and they tend to be quiet and reserved. So do you notice how the S's and the C's, both more reserved, both move at a little bit of a slower pace when it comes to making decisions? But your D's and your I's, they're moving and grooving. So even just that little bit I gave you, and we're going so much more in depth with each one over the next few weeks, but do you see how communication, how connection can be affected when we don't understand ourselves and we don't understand the people around us? My goal with this mini series is to help open your eyes, bring some ahas, bring some awareness to both your own behavioral style and that of those around you so that you can appreciate yourself more and so you can appreciate them more. And if you ever have the opportunity to do a DISC workshop, you will have a common language with your team around communication. It's really a beautiful thing. So I'm excited for these next few weeks. If you have any question over these next few weeks, please reach out to me. Like, I love to hear from you. My personal email is lisaluimpact@gmail.com. I always love to hear from you, but we will be going through this. D will be next week. So we're going to dive deep on the Ds, the direct decisive drivers. We're going in. So whether that already sounds like you or somebody you know, this is really going to help to bring awareness and understanding. So I'm excited about this series. I hope you're excited too. I hope you hang with me these next few weeks as we move through all of these. I think it's going to, I think it's really going to be fun, enjoyable, and I know for a fact that it's going to bring a lot of value to you personally and to your workplace as you start to see people a little bit differently and begin to appreciate them just a little bit more. All right, that's it for today. Excited about next week, and I will see you then.